To kick off our next block of Unity Through Diversity, I am thrilled to bring you this next bit of news because today, on First Contact Day of all days, I have the privilege of announcing that the documentary Women in Motion will stream exclusively on Paramount Plus on June 3rd. Women in Motion tells the true story of how Nichelle Nichols, Star Trek's Lieutenant Uhura, blazed a trail for thousands of the nation's best and brightest to join NASA, and how her work to challenge NASA to recruit a more diverse set of scientists, engineers, and astronauts for their new space shuttle program led to the first African American, Asian, and Latino men and women to fly in space. I am personally so excited to see this documentary, and I'm sure you guys are too, so stay tuned for an in-depth conversation with some of Star Trek's most powerful women to talk about Nichelle's indelible impact on science fiction and science fact. But first, let's take a look at the trailer for the upcoming documentary. Enjoy!
What is a change in society? A change is you cannot even imagine a world any other way.
For most of the world, Nichelle Nichols is Lieutenant Uhura, pop culture icon. But what they don't know is that she changed the space program forever.
The astronaut corps was really kind of the old boys club. It was all white Anglo-Saxon male.
Oh, I dreamed of becoming an astronaut, but NASA said that women weren't being considered for the job.
The argument was made that there were no qualified black people.
When is America going to put a woman in space? When is America going to put a black person in space?
We could have done it if they would just let us.
I resented that and decided I was going to do something about it.
And she's saying,
where are my people?
That was the spark that caused NASA to say, how do we go about this?
I challenged everyone to answer the question, and NASA said, how about Lieutenant Uhura?
Ms. Nichols has gone from science fiction to science fact.
I will bring you so many qualified people. The world will never be the same again.
This is your NASA.
She went into it to be an actress. She ended up changing the world.
I think it's one of the most fantastic stories to be told to the American people.
The world got to see that our women are strong, yes, but they're also smart.
We owe a great debt of gratitude to Nichelle Nichols.
All I can do is think of Nichelle Nichols as a force of nature.
I said, if they let me in the door, I will open it so wide they will see the world.
I am now joined by a panel of frankly fabulous women who star in multiple ongoing Star Trek shows. And, not unlike the legendary Nichelle Nichols, they too are blazing trails through the stars of every day with their work on and off the set. So please join me in welcoming Sonequa Martin-Green from Star Trek Discovery, Michelle Hurd and Isa Briones from Star Trek Picard, and Dawnn Lewis from Star Trek Lower Decks. Ladies, thank you for joining me in this fabulous virtual venue.
Wonderful. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Today is First Contact Day, so in that spirit and in honor of the great Nichelle, I wonder if you guys could each start by telling me what was your first contact with Star Trek, and Nichelle Nichols, actually. What was your reaction when you first saw her on TV for the first time?
Who wants to go first? Go for it, Michelle.
I'll go. I always start talking. She was probably the most influential person in our household when I was growing up. My father was an actor, and actually my parents got, who are black and white, my father's black, my mother's white, got married back in the 60s when it wasn't cool back then to have an interracial relationship. And, we had all of it. We had Dr. King, Malcolm, the Kennedys, people getting assassinated. It was a really right time for civil rights. And my father, being an actor, being sort of relegated to only doing certain types of roles, he didn't want us to see them. He wasn't proud of playing the servant or the Uncle Tom or whatever. And he wanted to make sure that art was part of our lives, but he wanted to make sure his children, his 3 daughters, saw themselves represented. And one of the only shows that my family would sit down and watch as a family was Star Trek, for that very reason, for Nichelle, for the fact that there was an inclusive visual being represented. And that episode where they kiss, where Kirk and Uhura kiss, it's an intense episode. If everybody hasn't seen it, it's kind of like people are always like, oh, there's the interracial kiss. You need to watch it because it's really deep. There's, it really goes deep into stereotypes and racism. There's widths, but to see that on camera, to see a Black and white person kiss on camera made such an impact for my family, for me, for us girls, to see ourselves, included in society. That we weren't just outsiders, we weren't these anomalies. So she was unbelievably influential to my choosing this career, to being an activist. My father worked with Maya Angelou and Godfrey Cambridge to raise funds for Dr. King's marches. And, everybody I'm sure knows the story that Nichelle, when she got Star Trek, she wanted to leave. She was like, I'm out. This is not what I'm meant to do more. And Dr. King called her and said, no, you can't. It's imperative that you are there. You're in the room. Mm-hmm. And being in the room opens up so many more possibilities. And to hear her in that, in the trailer saying that she said once she opened that door, she would help she would put her hand out. I mean, I hope we all hear that. I hope everybody, realizes the wealth that you can do when you stretch your hand out and you bring your brothers and sisters along. We all benefit. We all benefit from all of our stories. It enriches us as a society. So, she was pretty impactful to the Hurd family.
I think I was 7 or 6 when Star Trek first aired. And my mom worked during the day and went to school at night. And so left me and my 3 brothers at home, basically, to behave ourselves. And our neighbor who lived in the apartment upstairs, we were in a 3-family brownstone in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy. And so it was her responsibility to watch out for us. So she could hear through the floor when we had the TV on or were running around misbehaving, and you would hear the broomstick, boom, 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 bang on the ceiling, sit down downstairs, be quiet. So we would gather around our huge 9-inch black and white TV.
Right. That's right.
With blankets over our heads to turn the volume down so that she couldn't hear, so we could watch Star Trek. Because it was the one place where we saw some of everybody. I mean, countries you never thought of going, Russia, Japan, all of these different places, but there was someone representing each of those cultures on this bridge. And of course, for us, and particularly for me, in a house full of boys, I have 3 brothers, I'm the only girl, to see Nichelle Nichols holding it down in the middle of all the guys, just as smart, if not smarter, just as quick and resourceful and able and capable and absolutely gorgeous, sitting there handling her business. She was right there calling her own shots. I applaud the Roddenberry family and the Roddenberry legacy for being so inclusive of its vision in the future. And she was crucial for me.
I actually had a different experience with Nichelle, because when I found out that I was gonna be the lead of Discovery, so like all my thoughts, just went to her, and it actually drummed up quite a bit of pressure because not only did I just feel the pressure of doing the story justice and furthering this legacy, I consider it to be an heirloom, and I know how important it is to nurture it and continue with that innovation. And so I took that very seriously. I took it as a high calling. And so I wanted to do it justice, generally speaking, but I also wanted to do her justice. Because I felt like I was some sort of representation of her, an offshoot of her in the best sense of that word. And so I was just filled to the brim. I was running over with gratitude and respect for her, and also just wanting to, to make her proud. And wanting her to see the impact of what she's done, and wanting her to see that here I am, I'm here because of you. Like, here I am, And so on the red carpet for the premiere was the first time I met her. And she was like meeting this you know, this enigma, this queen. And so we were talking about this before we started. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to be. I just was like smiling in her face. Just like, you know, and just like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for you. I stand on your shoulders. You're a queen. I love you so, you know. Yeah. And she's so humble. She's so graceful. And she's like, oh, you know, and then she whispered in my ear, like it was a cinematic moment. She whispered in my ear, take care. This is yours now.
Yeah.
And I was like,
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was that it was that blessing, right? That I needed. And that somehow she knew I needed.
Passing the torch, passing the baton.
Yeah, opening that door, because that's what she's done for us. And that's her very message. That's the heart of it right there, is she's saying to us, take care. It's right. Yours now. Here you go. I made a way for you, you know. I thank God for her. I really do, because God has done some mighty things through her.
Yeah. I got introduced to her after I moved to LA to start doing A Different World. And like you, it's like, it's you. Oh my gosh. And then when that person knows your name, because of what you're currently doing, like butter, like melting, tears in the eyes. And like you said, she's incredibly gracious, incredibly fun. And for that to be the beginning of what became now a decades-long friendship is just so humbling to me. To have her go from idol to acquaintance to friend is just an absolute blessing. You know, so I was going through photo albums. Remember photo albums when you took pictures? And you even printed doubles so that you could share them with people. Right. So when I knew we were having this conversation, I went through my photo albums and I pulled out a bunch of pictures of she and I from different events, and blesses my heart. Because I'm sure at the time, people were talking about her with NASA, and there were news articles and there were stories, but that's not something we've heard in quite a while. So I'm excited to be here today, where we bring that back to the forefront of just who she is. She's not just a beautiful Black woman with the earpiece, you know, like the earbud and the beautiful legs and mini skirts. And she's more than that. You know, she changed the world. She changed the science program here in this country. And I think we just need to continue to celebrate who we are and who we become through the people that came before us.
Speaking of doing it and bringing in the new, Isa,
yes,
you are young. I'd love to hear yours, because you are our young one, and
absolutely,
I've had such a joy watching your growth and your progress through working with you on Picard. So I want to hear. She's this young creature right here is incredibly talented. And
Nichelle, stop.
let us hear you, my love. What did you?
Well, unfortunately, I did not grow up immersed in Star Trek or sci-fi in general. I know, like, for a lot of people, they grew up with sci-fi, and that just wasn't part of my life. And I find that very unfortunate now, because I don't know, I think when you look at it, you realize when you didn't grow up with it, you see it less legitimate than a lot of other forms of TV or film, which is completely wrong. And I learned that as I went forward. I gradually learned more about Star Trek. And when I found out about the first interracial kiss and found out about what Nichelle Nichols did for NASA and inclusion, it made me realize, like, oh, this is not just some put on your spacesuit and go into space and play dress up. Like, this is so legitimate. It made so much change, arguably more change than any other form of media. And it just really kind of confirmed that she made it legitimate. She and everyone else like her, I mean, George Takei, like for me growing up, seeing him and my dad seeing him, it was a whole new world. Suddenly like, oh, we're up there. We are doing it, and we are in places of power. That's amazing. And it's because of those people, and because of Gene Roddenberry's vision for the future, that it became legitimate and it changed the actual world.
It's amazing, isn't it, to see yourself represented?
Yeah.
And I think what's I've said this, and I don't mean to get like, deep or whatever, but, I don't have the privilege of being white and in the majority and keeping my fingers crossed that they will tell the story of POCs. I don't have that privilege. And you don't realize it when you're growing up and you don't see yourself, that it puts a ceiling on you. It puts a ceiling on you. All I can think of, and I know Sonequa, she's got her children, my two nephews, my two beautiful brown boys who just turned 17 and 14. And I think about them, they have always seen a Black president. They know that that exists. That changes, that literally changes the molecules in the room, in the air that we breathe, in the way that we make decisions, and Nichelle, there are all these women of color who were there. They've been here. They have been, like Mom was saying, we have been here. We have been here, and we have been tried and true. We have been vigilant. We have been focused. We have been driven. We haven't always gotten the opportunity or the platform. Right. And when she did that, to think that she not only was thinking about entertainment, but she was thinking of a bigger picture, a broader picture, an inclusive picture, a powerful picture. And she knew that this was a tool that she could actually spring forward the civil rights movement with a swipe, with a do and a touch of her command. But I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. And Isa, you think about these children, who look like you, who didn't see themselves represented. For all of us, and just to take this in, this right here, this 5-year, this is just a tiny taste of women of color. This diversity here, this beauty here, this strength, these stories. These are powerful stories. And we're just 5 of these stories right here. And people are looking at this, young kids can see this and go, I connect with her. I hear them. I see myself. Yeah. It's unbelievably powerful. And what's so beautiful is that, we can't sit back. And as I said, that, I don't have the privilege of being in the majority. So we can't sit back. We need to move forward. And we need to move forward in whatever tools we have. And, thank you, Star Trek, for saying, let's employ these creatures. Let's bring them in the room, not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera, because that's where all the change happens. Not just in front, people, behind the camera. Thank you, all of it. Writing, directing, producing, editing, all of it. If we're all in the room, and let's just get all full here. BIPOC, LGBTQ, disabled, differently abled people. All of us. If we're all behind the camera, Lord, can you imagine what the stories are going to be like in front of the camera?
I remember when I first saw that movie, Hidden Figures. I was like, what? Huh?
Right?
I did not know this. And I went to a screening where there were a couple of current NASA Black female engineers who did not know the story, who did not know that. Yeah. So how can you go through the NASA program and they still don't tell you that story? Again, so that's why opportunities like this are so valuable and so important. What we do in our worlds and in our opportunities opens doors and opens perspectives. And I believe Star Trek is an amazing example of that, of just opening up perspectives. And to think that the original Star Trek was only on for 3 seasons?
Yeah, is that crazy?
Yeah.
We're still talking about it 155 years later, that it's making a difference.
Right.
Okay. Cell phones, the little the little flip phone, the little communicator, the earbuds, the iPads, the tricorders, all that stuff. I don't know if I'm ready to be transported anywhere. Beam me up. I don't know, but
I am.
Past traffic, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, could you imagine?
I don't want to see flying cars. I don't. People have a hard time on the ground. I can't imagine.
That's true.
Up in the sky.
The 405 in the sky sounds horrible. I don't want to see that. But kind of on this topic, and speaking of change and what Star Trek has done in the real world, thanks in part, a huge part to Nichelle, Star Trek the show has made a real world impact on our own societal, scientific, and racial development. So for Isa, for you, what do you feel is Hollywood's role in really helping to affect real world change?
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, that maybe the rest of Hollywood could take a little bit of a page from what Star Trek and sci-fi has been doing for 50 some years already. I mean, first off, showing diversity on screen. This is what people see. TV, film, even though it's fake, not real life, that's what young kids are seeing and seeing as the real world. I mean, before I went to school, what I saw of what I thought school was Lizzie McGuire. Like you grow up and you think that is the real world. And so if we're not showing a real world that is inclusive and that has opportunities, then how are we expected to live that in our own lives if we don't show it to the young people out there who are looking up to us? So
there's a line in the Woman in Motion trailer that says, "Our women are strong, but they're also smart." And everybody here in this panel, each of your characters is extremely smart and experts in their field. So Sonequa, I want to know from you, what does it mean not just to represent strong women, but intelligent women in television?
This is one of the things I love to talk about the most, because when Dr. King told Nichelle, no, you need to stay exactly where you are, I love that prophetic guidance, because he knew, of course, storytelling in the entertainment industry in all its forms, it's one of the major influences on our society. It's one of the major spheres of influence. It can actually change people's beliefs and shift their paradigms. It is so powerful in that way. It shapes our culture. And so I think right now, what I love about how culture is being shaped by this representation and by this diversity and by this this innovation that people like Nichelle have caused, is that you see people of color, you see people from all kinds of different disenfranchised communities, but you see them being strong and smart and useful. And that's something I say a lot about Mica Burton. It's not just that this woman is a genius. First of all, that is huge, that this Black woman is a genius.
Right.
Number two, it's huge that we're talking about STEM. We're talking about a world where there has famously been a dearth of Black women shown in that world, though we are here hidden figures.
Right.
Here. Right. But we just, we don't see that. We're not taught that in school, and we're not shown it, or we haven't been in times past. Now we are. And it means so much to me to be someone who is a genius, but who is sacrificial, who is a leader through that sacrifice and because of that sacrifice, and also who is useful, where their contribution, Mica Burton's contribution, leads to the solution to the problem. And when you have a mastermind, people coming together, because these are stories about geniuses in general. But when you see them all coming together to make that true mastermind, it's so important to see yourself reflected, pouring into the solution.
Oh, that's so good.
To see yourself being necessary to move to the next step. Yes, being necessary to go forward. If I had not been there, it would not have been resolved. I think that is huge and really important for people to see. And it emboldens me day in and day out, being able to step into that and really feel that out and really know what it means. And also to approach it with grace, because that's something Nichelle did.
Oh my goodness.
Because what you can do is you can tip the other way and get into a place of arrogance. Right. You get into a place where you feel like you have more control than you do. Right. Where you're thinking more highly of yourself than you should. It's never been that for her. And we need to see that as well. We need to see that humility also.
we all portray these amazing, accomplished, somewhat flawed, yet persevering individuals. Have you found any of your characters influencing you as a person now that you've had this opportunity? Anybody?
Well, for me, it was, I'm very new. This is my first TV show really ever.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So starting it, obviously, you have all been there. We've all been there, starting out for the first time and being so nervous and not knowing what the heck you're doing, and just kind of being on constant alert. And I came from musical theater before, so I was very new to the
Hamilton, don't
Hamilton.
undersell. This girl's
but really, like, I think it was so helpful that I was playing a character that was so me already, because my character was basically like finding out all these new things about herself, discovering who she is, and being hunted and so scared for her life. And I know it sounds very dramatic, but that's kind of like how I felt, because I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I don't know what to do. And, you know, you see like the producers whispering in the corner and you're like, are they talking about me? Do they like what I'm doing? And so I think it just, I loved how much my character mirrored how I was feeling, that I got so protective of her. Like, because I started to play a bunch of other characters, and I noticed in the way I talked about them, I'd be like, oh yeah, she does that, but I do this, as if like I'm Soji. Yeah. These other characters, I don't know who they are. Like, I got so protective to that point, which really helped, because like as I was growing and changing and coming into my own as a person, I think Michelle will tell you, I kind of went through a moment of figuring out how to speak up for myself and realize that I have a voice and I am allowed to ask for things and demand what I need in order to work and do a good job. And that kind of mirrored exactly what my character was going through. And I think it kind of inspired me to ask more for what I needed, because my character, because I felt so protective of her, because she was going through so much, I was like, Soji needs this. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I'm going to demand that I get what I need to do her story justice, which is so interesting. And now I feel like we're kind of one and the same.
I think all of us are playing these honorable people. Mm-hmm. And I've often asked myself, looking at myself as Michael, you know, what that really means to be someone of honor, and what it means to be a woman of honor, like Nichelle Nichols, right? It's like, what does it actually mean? And how does it manifest in your life? And how does it change you? You know, speaking of the molecules in the air, like you were talking about, Michelle, how does it change the molecules in your brain? How does it, you know, create new pathways and new synapses and whatnot? Like, how does it alter you to be a woman of honor? I mean, these people, Michael Burnham especially, is so ready to die for people. And it happens almost, I mean, as we've seen in these first three seasons, it happens so often.
Almost every episode.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, now it's time to save thousands of people. Now it's time to save the world. Now it's time to save the universe. And just ready to die on a dime. And I think about the contributions that people have made, like Nichelle, and that fight without inhibition, that fight without that same kind of care for life. It's like knowing that you might need to give your life for the generation after you. So many people in the civil rights movement had that mindset. Like, I will die today.
That's right.
For what we're doing here.
For my
and I might not ever even see the progress.
Right.
My grandchildren will.
Right.
I won't ever see it, but I'm gonna die anyway today for it. That blows my mind. That blows my mind. And so that is that's gotta be one of the biggest contributions that being Michael Burnham has given to me Sonequa is contemplating that kind of lifestyle, that kind of mindset, that kind of position of heart.
Yeah.
Do that. And goodness, Lord, help me be that.
That's right.
Help me be that in my day-to-day life. So I'm not just telling the story of it, which is causing change, but so that it's changing me and you're seeing it in my own life as well.
That's right.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I mean, even talking about that, what you were just talking about, like people willing to give their lives, the time when Star Trek was on, the original Star Trek in the 60s, for Nichelle was taking a big chance with her own personal career and her possibilities of future employment by being so outspoken, by daring and committing to being a game changer and using her one little gig in order to open doors and kick down stereotypes that had been established for decades, for centuries in this country. What it potentially could have cost her as being able to make a living as a woman, as a person of color. She put all of that on the line to do what she believed in her heart was the right thing to do. I don't want to just live in the future. I don't want this character to just be a fantastic, little participle in the bigger scheme of things. Why can't this be real? And and as she said in the opening trailer of the documentary, I'm going to make it possible, not just for me, but for multitudes come beyond me.
See the whole world, she said.
The whole world.
Open the door wide enough to see the whole world.
I'm so excited about this documentary, and I really hope that, not only just people go see, it should be included in educational systems, because, you're speaking about people willing to die. I keep, and Isa knows this, I quote Dawnn Lewis often. This man was 26 years old, right? When he walked across that bridge, he knew he was going to die. He said, he figured this may happen, but I need to do this. And one of the things that one of the quotes that I know everybody knows, but I think it's so imperative, it literally harkens to what we're talking about, the big picture of the long journey. He says, do not get lost in the sea of despair. Be hopeful. Ours is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. Ours is the struggle of a lifetime. Never be afraid to get in trouble, make noise, get in trouble, necessary trouble, good trouble. And this is what like Nichelle has done. She asked herself all those questions. I'm going to do Star Trek. I'm an actress. I'm a civil rights person. I'm going to move the decimal forward. I'm going to do Star Trek. How is this actually going to impact? It's going to impact from this point on. From this point on, it impacts. And the fact that her main objective was to reach down or reach out and bring people in. This is what history and lessons are imperative for our progress. And from documentaries like this, because people are going to be like, I know Uhura. You didn't know she was doing all this, did you?
Did you? Yeah, exactly. And because of her, Mae Jemison is. Yeah, I remember they were filming one of the Star Treks where I was working. So I walked over to the set to see Michael Dorn, who was playing Worf. And Mae was guest starring on the show. And the first thing Mae said, we're talking, and she said the same thing. Lieutenant Uhura made me want to be an astronaut.
Sonequa, Michelle, Isa, Dawnn, thank you so much for joining me for this beautiful and moving and inspirational conversation, and obviously the celebration of Nichelle Nichols and everything she's done.
Yes, absolutely. My honor to be here and amongst this amazing group of women.
This is a strong group of women. They put together a good crew here.
And we're all here because of Nichelle.
It's true. Thank you,
exactly.
Nichelle.
Thank you, Nichelle.
Well, to all of you watching, remember, Women in Motion streams exclusively on Paramount Plus starting this summer. And if you want to see even more inspiring women doing incredible things in science and space, you can watch all of Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard, and Star Trek Lower Decks, and also every Star Trek series right now on Paramount Plus. Also, as a little reminder, today on First Contact Day, we are reviving our Star Trek United campaign where you can pitch in and support. For every person that tweets the hashtag Star Trek United Gives, Paramount Plus will donate $1 to organizations who do the real world work of championing equality, social justice, and the pursuits of scientific advancement. Happy First Contact Day, ladies.
Happy First Contact Day.
Live long and prosper all.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
Yes.
Oh, and Sonequa, before I let you go, I understand you have something to share with us for Star Trek Discovery. So is there a little something you'd like to reveal to the people at home?
There is a little something I'd like to reveal. Seeing as how it is First Contact Day, I have with me the first contact that can be made with season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. Got a little teaser for you. So I hope everyone enjoys. We've been working really hard. We're very blessed to be here, continuing to tell this story in the midst of this global pandemic. And, it means a lot to be able to get this story out. So enjoy the teaser.
Well, thank you. I know it means a lot to us that you are sharing this with us today. So control room, let's get to that teaser.
We're all living in uncertainty. Even for a crew as familiar with it as this one. The stress is taking its toll. But we are not in this alone. None of us are.
5 light years across. That's the size of the gravitational anomaly.
Where's it headed next?
It could go anywhere. And we may not have any kind of warning at all.
Federation, non-federation. This anomaly threatens us equally.
Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together.
Indeed, we are more than allies.
Captain Burnham, make no mistake. You are in charge.
She has faith in me.
We are facing something we don't understand. Something that could tear us all apart. But there's only one way to confront the unknown.